Felix and de Koning. Just take us through the preparations this week. I mean, obviously slightly different. You're going to Sunday game again, and then obviously you guys travelled and you guys started a bit later in the week.
Yeah, so we actually started. Usually we would start on the Monday and Tuesday, Wednesday, but just the later start with the kickoff on the Sunday. We just pushed everything back a day, so still a very normal week for us, and just come off the training park there. So all fit and good to go.
We have Felix, Mark Gleeson. How tight is this selection choice between Pollard and Libbok, and will perhaps an absence of too many penalties on Sunday be a factor in making that decision? Do you feel that might be the case in the game?
Yeah, it's obviously it's very tight. It's very tight in a number of positions, if I'm being honest with you. And obviously fly half is very tight. Andrew's obviously been there. He's done it before for us from a starting role in terms of that being a role from. But Manny's also been playing some really great rugby for us. So yeah, of course, penalties, as you mentioned there, that does come into our consideration. But let's say there could be 10 penalties in a game if one team has won 10 penalties, but there's 100 rucks, there's 7 or 8 scrums, there could be 20 line-ins, so it's just one of our considerations.
Hello Felix, Hendrik Cronje speaking. Felix, some of the Boks last played against Ireland. Is it a good or a bad thing?
You're asking in terms of game readiness, is it? Yeah. I think it's probably an individual thing there. Some players like to be battle hardened and play week in, week out. Some guys feel they need the break after a very tough test match like that. So it's probably a bit more of an individual thing. I don't think you can give it a blanket statement and say it's a good thing or a bad thing.
Felix and de Koning again. In the last few tests, twice last year in November against France, you guys were there and they're about very close, one score away. What do you need to do different or better to get that 1% or 2% better to turn that close loss into a win?
Yeah, it's a great question. There's been obviously a number of games over the last probably 2 to 3 years where it's come right down to the last play of the game or the last kick of the game or a penalty here in the last minute or two on either way, giving away or receiving a penalty, whatever the case may be, where we've actually also won a lot of games in those dying few minutes. So we expect this to be a very tight game. What do you do to need to overcome that? You probably want to not let it get to that stage, and hopefully that you're nailing your bigger moments in the build-up in the first 70 minutes and that it's not coming to that point. But if it does, again, you need to be accurate. Obviously, we've been disappointed that we couldn't finish off our final opportunity against Ireland. So, to answer your question, hopefully you can not let it get to that stage by nailing the big moments in that first 60, 70 minutes. And then obviously, if it happens in the last couple of minutes, a hugely pressurised environment, you have to trust that what you've done in training will serve you well.
Felix, the MDL. What is your sense of how France have developed under Fabien Cartier?
Yeah, I think there's a real resilience there in what he's built in comparison to maybe what had gone on before. I wasn't coaching at the international level back then, so I can't comment exactly on what it was like before. But Fabien actually came and visited us in Munster before he'd taken that job, and we got to know him a little bit there when myself, Rassie and Jacques were still there. So I think it's hugely impressive. You can see they're very tight. It's a tight group that play for each other. To the question that was asked earlier, if they keep playing for the 80 minutes, you've never beaten France until the last few minutes of the game. It could be the last play, and I think the depth that's been built. You look at their depth at hooker, even with Marchand, who potentially might miss out if he's still injured. I'm not sure, but even if he isn't there, there's 2 or 3 guys ready to step in that are tier 1 test excellent top players in the team. So you could say the same about Antoine Dupont if he does play. I mean, obviously he's one of the world's best players, World Player of the Year. but I think Luku and behind him has also been absolutely outstanding for them, and not only for them but also for Bordeaux. So I think probably the depth as well that he's built and the resilience within the group.
Hi, you talk about Dupont. What is the presence of Antoine Dupont on the field gonna change for you as a coach?
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously the presence is something that you can see. You know, he has a big impact on the players around him and belief, and everyone knows the quality of the player. But I mean, we can't control the presence that he brings. We can only control, trying to stop his, the many talents that he has and the abilities that he has. And if it isn't, and if it's Luku, I mean, also again, you've also got some really effective pieces of play that he can put together, brings a lot of players into the game for France. So we can't control the presence part, but we can try and stop what's happening.
Good afternoon, Felix. Currie here from News 24 Sport. Of the teams who are in the Paris draw of the quarterfinals of the box, from the balance, they playing minutes out very well as compared to other teams. How important does that become in this stretch of the tournament, and how does that influence selection?
Yeah, I think for selection now, it's certainly we want to pick the right team that can help us get a result on the weekend. Maybe inside the pool stages, and before that, in the build-up to the World Cup, there was definitely a focus from our side in terms of balancing load and balancing minutes and balancing game time across players, so that we can get some answers to know, will this guy be able to do it at the highest level against one of the best teams in the world, across multiple positions, and then obviously coming into the World Cup, you've got to start thinking about combinations and what combinations are going to work well, and the type of team that combination will work well against. So we tried to balance it. It's not to say that we got it right by any stretch. We'll find out probably over the next 3 games if we got it right or not.
Une question en français. Rassi Erasmus et Jacques Ninaber vivent leur dernier match ensemble à la tête des box. Comment vous analysez ce binôme? Quel regard vous portez sur ce binôme?
Could you repeat that? Sorry, I didn't hear actually the players you mentioned.
Le nom des joueurs.
Jacques and Rassi.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. To comment. Yeah. Well, I mean, they've been together for such a long period of time. Two great men, two great friends, have been unbelievably good to me in my own career as well. So, hopefully this won't be the last. Hopefully there'll be 3 more, it hasn't really been spoken about within our group anyway. I think it's just everyone understands the situation.
Felix, I was going to ask a similar question. If it is to be the last game on Sunday, can you reflect a little bit on your time with South Africa, and obviously the end of this relationship now with Jacques going one direction, you going somewhere else, Rusty staying behind? Just some reflection on your time in with the Boks.
With all due respect, with the game around the corner, it's not something I've actually let my head go to. I'm still loving my time here. I intend to keep going for another 2 or 3 weeks, so I'll answer it another time.
Felix, in the group stages, there was no extra time. Now in the knockout stages, there's normal extra time and sudden death extra time. Will it influence your decision when to send on the bomb squad or not?
It's a good question. I think probably most teams will go out to try and win the game in that first 80 minutes, and then you're kind of, while you do have contingency plans in behind, certainly as a management group, you're not really prepared. You're not practicing it. You prepared for it in terms of scenarios, but by that stage, after 80 minutes, there's so much that could happen. There could be, injuries. There could be cards. There could be players playing well, having to be subbed off or not. So you very much have to kind of go on the fly at that stage. Hopefully it won't come to that.
Currie from News from Africa. How much does the last result against France inform what you guys will be doing tomorrow? The last result against France last year in November.
Yeah, well, I think both teams probably learned a lot on that day. I mean, it was an incredible match. The atmosphere was unbelievable. I thought the physicality levels were incredible. I think both teams really played well in the night, and at the end of it, it was one score that kind of divided the teams, and it was back and forth, both teams taking the lead at different stages, and I think both teams will have learned a lot, and I'm sure will come up with plans to change or do something slightly different or do whatever it is that was effective in that game again, and vice versa. The other teams try to counteract that. So I think it's going to be a really interesting element to it.
After the last game against you, French, said it was chaos on the field. Do you promise the same chaos Sunday?
Do we expect the same chaos on Sunday? Yeah, I think so. I think when the top teams in the world, be it in the top 5, 6, 7, 8 teams in the world play each other, those test matches, it just becomes hard to think with the noise, hard to think with the level of collision, with the speed at which the game's going, with the magnitude of the consequences of doing something well or poorly. I very much expect it to be the same. Yeah.
Hi Felix, Aurélien from l'équipe. France kicking game is another one of their assets. What kind of battle there do you expect on Sunday, and how difficult is for your backs to deal with it?
Yeah, obviously the French kicking game is very well known to be incredibly effective with the quality of the kickers that they have, in particular around us and Charlie Blair and Bond or Luku. They've got some big distance. A lot of times you've got to try and match that. It's difficult because of the quality of the kickers that they have. So they very much are able to pin you back in your half. So you have to really come up with a strategy to match it.
Felix, the Boks have been involved in what is easily been the best game of the tournament so far between them and Wales. But how big is this game? Just talk us through the magnitude, how you guys are channeling your emotions for again. I mean, it's a Sunday 9 p.m. kickoff. Everything that happens this weekend will tie down to what happens on Sunday.
Yeah, I think I mean it's hugely anticipated because we're playing France at home in the quarterfinal of the World Cup here in France. So we know the magnitude will be big. There'll obviously be a large crowd, which will be the vast majority of French. But we know we've got 60 million people back in South Africa that are willing us on and supporting us and sending their messages through. So we'll be drawing a lot from that.
Felix, just to follow up from what you said earlier, obviously significant. How significant will discipline be given what happened in the last game and the importance of this game, because there's not a second chance after this game?
Yeah, no, discipline will be a huge factor in the game, and penalty counts will be massive, particularly with the quality of a guy like Ramos in terms of his ability to pull the ball over. So it'll be a massive impact. Penalty counts will be huge, so it'll be a big focus for us.
Thanks, Felix.